What is going on everyone, Parsnip here, and with Lost Ark coming out this year, I figured a lot of new players would want a quick video with the main things that you should know about the game. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start off with the classes. For the Western release of Lost Ark, we do have a total of 15 classes which will be out upon release. And these classes are the Berserker, Gunlancer, Paladin, War Dancer, Scrapper, Sophist, Striker, Gunslinger, Artillerist, Deadeye, Sharpshooter, Bard, Summoner, Shadow Hunter, and the Deathblade. The rest of the classes, like the Destroyer, Sorcerer, and so on, those will be released over time. As for which class you choose to play, well, it doesn't really matter. In fact, all content in the game can be done regardless of the class you pick. However, like with everything, there will be a meta, and certain combinations will make endgame content a lot easier. A good example of this is how the Bard in Korea is the most sought after class and composes over 14% of the total player base. With that being said, we now have the Founders Packs, and none of the teams in the Founder Packs are needed to play the game as it's free to play. However, they have made packs more accessible by releasing a new pack that only costs 15 bucks. These packs consist mainly of cosmetics such as costume, pets, and mounts, and a few other things, nothing really necessary for you to at least test the game. Now, it really depends on you and your taste to decide which pack you would want. And last but not least, the packs do offer something that's pretty nice, which is access to closed beta and a 3-day head start to the game. So if you're really excited about the game and want to play it before other people, feel free to go ahead and get a cheap pack, or if you like the mounts and you plan to play the game for a long time, go ahead and get a more expensive mount. Moving on, let's talk about what you can expect when you first start playing. Now, the game begins by letting you pick one of 5 classes, which upon reaching level 10 will allow you to pick one of those 15 subclasses. For example, a warrior can pick between a paladin, a berserker, or a gunlancer, and so on. Now, the main story, which will bring you all the way from level 10, is unique for all the classes. So a warrior will start at one place, a mage will start at another. So if your friends pick a different class, you will only be able to play with them and meet up with them after you picked your advanced job. Now, worry not, this is pretty fast. The beginning, I tried every single class and they all took a bit over an hour, and if you're just rushing through it and skipping through it, it might take even less. So, what do you do once you get past the start? Well, quest. As a lot of players know, Lost Ark only really opens up at level 50, which is where the game really begins. Now, a lot of players will be rushing to get there as quickly as possible by doing only the main quest and just speeding through all the story and just skipping as much as they can. Now, if you are like me and want to take your time, at least at your first class, your main class, you can also explore and do side quests and enjoy the game for all the little things it is. After all, it is such a beautiful game. Especially as how later on you will be rushing a bunch of outs to level 50. Now this brings us to the end game of Lost Ark, which are outs. Believe it or not, even if you have one favorite class, if you want to keep up with the other players, you will need to make outs. Now, you don't need to min-max, you don't need 5 or 6 outs and spend 8 hours a day doing the same dungeons, but an extra character or two will help you out a lot in the long run. Why? Because you can funnel the gold and things like that towards your main account. So, what can you expect in the end game of Lost Ark? Well, besides achievements and explorations, you will be doing a lot of dailies and weeklies. Things like the Guardian raids, where it's pretty similar to Dauntless, where you and 3 others go fight a boss and you have to defeat it in a certain time frame. You have the Chaos Dungeons, which is a large-scale dungeon that you will also be doing in teams of 4. These dungeons are where you will be getting a lot of your gear, and that's the gear you will be using to upgrade. Now, more on gear score and upgrading it in a bit. You also have things like towers, where you have to go up each floor, sort of like the Maple Stories training rooms. You have cubes and so on, and again, I'll be linking a video below in case you guys want some more information on these. Now let's talk about gear in Lost Ark. So even though you do get your max level at 60, you have gear score, which allows you to clear certain content. It's pretty much the higher number that your gear score is, the stronger you are. Pretty simple. Now, you will be raising your gear and getting better gear and upgrading that gear. And through this process, it will allow you to do tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. It will allow you to do harder content in the game as time goes on. But let's take a step back and talk about what else Lost Ark has to offer. Now, a lot of players will probably be wondering, even though the main focus is PvE, does Lost Ark have PvP? And the answer to that is yes. It actually has a lot of forms of PvP, from 1v1s to 3v3s to free-for-alls in the Colosseum and so on, as well as things like guild versus guild. Now, we can't actually say it's balanced because it's not. Some classes for PvP, if you are going to be mainly focusing on PvP, you should actually do some research and figure out which classes are better for PvP because, for example, if you're into 1v1 PvP, there is a better class for certain things. You have better classes for 3v3s, for 1v1s, for guild v. It really depends on you. But just know that if you pick a bard and the meta dictates that berserker completely destroyed bards, you're gonna be facing a lot of berserkers. Now, the game also has a selling system that allows you to recruit NPCs and customize the ships and have even different types of ships. It has a life skill systems, which is mining, wood cutting, hunting, and so on. Now, you will unlock this throughout the story, and if you're interested, it is the purple quest. When you continue the story, just keep playing it. Eventually, you'll reach a section that has some purple marks on top of NPCs. You talk to those NPCs, do their quest, and that will unlock the skills for you. Um, and I guess that's pretty much it with the game, guys. It does have exploration. It does have events throughout the game. For example, you might be grinding or doing your quest, and there might be a pop-up like to kill 20 mobs or something in this area, or fight this elite boss or mini boss. There are world bosses and so on. So there is a lot to do in this game. It is a game that's been out for a while. It is, in fact, the most popular MMO in Korea. It's super popular in other regions as well. So the game has a solid foundation. The combat is amazing. The game looks beautiful. The soundtrack is great. It has everything that you would want in an MMO. So if you do like isometrics MMO, which is top down, this is a game for you. And that's pretty much it, guys. I know I didn't cover every single little thing in the game. However, I do think that all the main points are here. We talked about the combat, the classes, the gear, the founders pack, the end game, the leveling process, what you can expect in the game, and so on. So, oh right, I almost forgot. There's also housing in the game, and you guys can see in season 2 they changed it up a bit. We have to see what we're actually getting once the game release, the version and the things we'll have. As the reason we do think some of the classes aren't being included instead of others, for example the destroyer, is because they're getting a slight change in Korea. I'm not sure if it's a buff or a nerf, but imagine them releasing that in a month from now, they having to completely change it. So that makes a lot of sense. But as always, guys, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.